Hey, good afternoon. It's Ronaldo Mesa with the Real Men, Real Leaders podcast, and we're glad to have you back. It's Friday the 28th. It's beautiful out. It's springtime, so it's a good time to be out and about. And we have a guest with us today, and I've known this guy for, since we were little guys, I guess, and he's been part of the community and has done several things. I'm going to let him talk about his life. He's involved with Real Men, Real Leaders. He's been on the board for quite some time, and he currently serves as our president. And so I'm going to welcome Gabe Gallardo. Gabe, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
Glad to have you. And really, we'd like for you to share with the community or public out there, your experience, you growing up in Garden City, tell your story a little bit, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Sounds great. Well, I'm happy to be here.
Yep.
Happy to be a part of Real Men, Real Leaders, and the opportunities that we have to serve our boys. And
how long you been with us now?
Since about 2012, so
2012. So,
years.
yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I was, when it started, I went back to college to get my degree. So, I know the grassroots when it started, the guys that got together to make a difference in our community. I was asked to be a part of it then, but I was going back to school, so I waited until I finished that before I got involved with.
But by the way, which is real important. I mean, that's and then you're a little older, so it's not like not that means anything, but it
focused.
Yeah, you got to get focused. Yeah, you can't have too many distractions. But
yeah, so even before I was actually on the board, I did guest speaking, spoke to the boys at different programs, and shared some experiences with them. So it was good to be a part of it prior to actually serving on the board.
Yeah, and the reason too, Gabe, I think you brought a wealth of experience with your banking background and being a leader in the community and people recognizing you. So you certainly are a value to what we're doing, and we really appreciate you. Tell us a little bit about your banking history.
Well, I'll tell you a little about myself. I'm a Garden City native, so I was born and raised here. So I know a lot of people in the community, and grew up with great guidance. I had great parents. My mom and dad were hard workers, and family was very important. My dad taught me good work ethic.
Yep.
So I started working at a young age and had some great mentors in my life. Aunts and uncles and cousins, and just a lot of great role models. And I think I'm blessed there because I know not everybody has those opportunities.
Correct.
And so as I grew up in Garden City, there's been a lot of changes. I remember when they built the Dillon store, the East Dillon store.
Yeah.
That was on the edge of town.
That was a big deal.
Wheat fields beyond that.
Yep.
So it's changed a lot, and our town has grown. Population's grown quite a bit, and just happy to be a part of the community. And I grew up, like I said, working at a young age. Started working when I was 6 out in the fields. And then when I was 16, I went to work at Pepsi and loaded trucks at night all through school for all my high school years.
Yeah, I did a little bit of that too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I
Pepsi?
did. I think it was Pepsi or Coke, one of those two. I can't remember.
Both. I did Pepsi all through high school. And there, I worked on the night crew loading.
Yeah.
And I was 16. A hard worker, and it was hard work.
It was.
So I went through a lot of employees. A lot of people didn't want to work that hard. And so it wasn't long before I was a foreman of the loading crew as a high school kid, and hiring and firing and
that's pretty good at that age. Yeah, doesn't happen often.
And then I had great mentors there. Jerry Hernandez was a good
and Jerry was with Pepsi for the longest time. I think he's retired now.
Yeah, he is a great mentor in my life, and taught me about leadership, and my role there, and he was my supervisor, and
Yeah.
just seeing how he
Great
treated
guy.
people and experiencing that, and like I said, family mentors, and then in the church.
Yeah.
So just been blessed with a lot of great guys in my life, and it's just
Shortly thereafter,
different.
I mean, at what point did you? Because you went into banking,
yeah.
and you've been there for quite some time. What made you decide to go in banking? Was it just something that?
Well, actually, I worked at Pepsi all through high school, and then I went to Garden City Community College, and I worked at Walmart. I left Pepsi and went to Walmart when they opened the first Walmart here, and I worked there for about a year. And then Coca-Cola came to me to run their warehouse.
Oh, wow.
So I made that transition and worked at Coca-Cola while I was going to college here. And I was doing that and worked my way up to a routeman. And I was actually working like 20 hours a day.
Oh, man.
And my sister was working at the bank, Garden National Bank at the time. And she said, "You're killing yourself.
Yeah.
You need to change jobs or you're going to kill yourself."
She was looking out after you, man.
So they had an entry-level job come up, and it was the courier position with the bank. They had branches around town, I think 3 or 4 branches. And so I was a courier, and I delivered papers between the branches to attorneys' offices, to county and city buildings, whatever the bank does.
Yeah.
I delivered documents. And funny story about that is when I went back to school at an older age, non-traditional student, and I was
Right.
going to school with these traditional students, and so they were asking me about my job, how I got started in banking, and I told them about the courier position, and they were like, "Wow, I didn't know banks
They
had
did
a
that.
courier
Yeah.
position."
Yeah.
I said, "Well, this was before email and fax machines." And they were like, "Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
yeah,
how
they
old
didn't
are
think about
you?"
that. Yeah.
It's like, well, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
And so I was able to work my way up through the bank and worked through the proof department, teller, and then new accounts, loans, and eventually branch manager, and managed several of the banks for Garden National Bank. And was recognized by some other people in the community that offered me a job with Fidelity State Bank. Rich Harp
Yeah. Rich.
came after me, and I went to work for him and Fidelity, which later became Commerce Bank.
Yeah.
And so I had 21 years with Commerce, and
Wow.
31 years in banking total. And so that was a great foundation for what I'm doing now, working through the loan side of it,
Right.
different types of loans, municipal loans and commercial loans, real estate loans.
Comes in handy in real estate, right? Because now you're a real estate agent with Crockett and Company,
Yes.
and you've been doing that for a little bit now. And Diane and Brian, they got a wonderful brokerage here in Garden, wonderful people doing great things, and probably pretty happy you're part of that team over there. And do you miss banking, or you glad?
I love
relationships.
everything that I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great. I love people, and I love working with people, and it's a people business.
Yeah, that's good because what do they say, Gabe? If work's not work if you love what you're doing.
Yeah, if you love what you're doing, it's not.
You have no problem getting up in the morning and ready to hit it again.
Yeah, and every day is different. No transactions are the same, and so going from banking into real estate was a smooth transition. It was a great foundation for what I'm doing now, and everywhere I've gone, they've been supportive of our community. So even with Commerce Bank, Rich Harp, our president at the time, he was very encouraging as far as serving in our community. He wanted us to be.
Rich was big on that. Very much so.
He was one of the first supporters of Real Men, Real Leaders and helping us get started.
Yeah, and I tell you where else Rich was really instrumental is when we started Garden City Downtown Vision. He was one of the original board members and helped really get that going. And because I was a part of that, and I really appreciated his help. And and motivation and believed in what we're doing. It's still in existence today.
Yeah.
So you got to be, and I serve with him now. I'm on for Downtown Vision on their economic. I don't want to say economic committee, which we review loans, the IWW loans. So
Good.
I still get to work with him.
Great.
And let me ask you something, because I think, and maybe I'm wrong, whenever you transition like that, there's still a little bit of apprehension, or because you take a risk, right? You took a risk going to work for a bank. I mean, we all do, and there's a little bit of fear in all of us. I think, man, do I really belong here? And I'm sure it happened in real estate. Am I on the right track? Even though you're telling yourself yes, but tell us a little bit about that, because you learn through the hard knocks and the challenges of banking for the longest time, and you really were able to hang in there and grasp it. But you had to go through some tough challenges.
Oh yeah.
Or even self-doubt. I think we all go through that, and we're afraid to admit that. I think that's sometimes our boys that we work with. I think they struggle with that sometimes, with fear and confidence. And we got to let them know, hey, that's just part of life. Right?
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yes, definitely. So when you go from banking, you have vacation time, sick leave, and I had a lot of vacation time. Was there for 21 years, so maxed out on vacation and salaried position, and leaving that and going to real estate, which is a commission-based
right
business. And
you're independent contractor.
You don't get that regular paycheck.
Right. You're independent. It's on you.
Yeah, definitely. Self-employed. And so there's definitely challenges in that. And with my contacts in banking, I thought, I'm going to kill this. I'm going to go out and I have all kinds of prospects and contacts. Well, I didn't think that all those people already had realtors that they worked with. So basically, I was, started from ground level and I built my business up.
Yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I think, and me being in real estate too as well, I do think people thought we're just going to go in there and kill it.
Yeah.
Well, we have plenty of realtors in this community. I mean, and a lot of good ones, and good brokers doing good things. But it's a challenge. Things just don't happen right away. And I was told by a broker, before I got into it, hey, it's going to take you 3 to 4 years to really get your feet underneath you.
Yeah.
And leaving a job where you're getting a regular salary and some benefits, and then you're independent contractor, that's like day and night.
Oh, yeah. There were days that I was definitely thinking if I'd, you get that.
Did I make the right choice? Yeah.
Yeah, that's like, oh my goodness, what am I doing here?
But you stuck with it, and it's a learning process, and you've been pretty successful at it now. Going in, I know you got a few years ahead of you, but I think you've got it, But you never stop learning in this business.
Yeah, it's persistence, and like I said, my dad taught me a good work ethic, and I've worked hard all my life. And just continuing that or bringing that with me, there was challenges, but challenges make you stronger.
Correct. Yeah.
And those failures sometimes.
Well, we've all been there. I have.
Yeah, we're all going to fall down. And,
right.
Just like working with these kids, these boys, they're boys. They're going to make mistakes, but we want them to learn from those mistakes and improve the way that they do things and always fall forward. You're going to fall, but fall forward.
Yeah.
And keep going.
When I do speak to the boys, I let them know that, if you're not failing, if you're not, making mistakes here and there, you're really not growing.
You're not doing anything.
Right.
You can not do anything and not make any mistakes.
You can stay with the status quo, hang out with your buddies, and just not stretch yourself. And we have to teach our young people, you got to learn to stretch yourself. And many of them, again, I think, for whatever reason, it's a learning process. You got to get over that fear. You got to you have a challenge, you hit it head on. You don't run from it. You embrace it. And by doing so, it really makes you stronger. And
Yeah.
I think that's that's something that we're trying to do with Real Men, Real Leaders, and like I say, you've been a huge part of that, and because we want our kids to grow and excel, and I think at the age level we're teaching these kids, I think it's the right level. I know, and dealing with fifth grade boys is not an easy thing to do because you're pretty much involved as a board member and as president, but so fear, I guess fear would have been one of those things that. How'd you get over that? Do you talk? I mean, do you pray? You pray about it?
Oh, yeah.
I know you're a God-fearing man.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah. A lot of prayer every day,
Yeah.
all day long.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that persistence, there's times that adversary really challenges you. He's gonna beat you when you're down, and
Yeah.
you just keep praying and know that God's gonna take care of you and have
your back.
faith, have that faith.
Yeah. It's pretty hard to do when you have the world really telling you the opposite.
Yeah.
In your ear or in your head.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way.
But, and Crockett and Co. is been great, and the team there, they all have the same philosophy, I guess, that I have. We all are like-minded as far as community. Well, faith, family,
number one, right?
Faith, family, and
Right.
community.
Yeah.
Yep. So God first, and then family and
Yeah.
community. So we're all active in our churches, in our community, and so.
And I do think, and I've matured in this as well. I do think when you put God first, and make Him a priority, things could be a little bit better in life. But you gotta trust that, and it's hard to trust things when you're getting told differently by the world, or getting yanked or distracted. Temptation is always, there. Several different areas. So you really got to stay with it, And what do you would like to see for Real Men, Real Leaders? Do you have any? Where would you like to see this organization go? I know you've been.
My goodness.
Me and you work very well. I'm the executive director, and you are the president. And we work very well because I think we share a vision. And this organization has it seems like we're just touching the tip of the iceberg. We continue just refining this model that we created, and one day it's going to be finalized. But what do you think? We should.
Well,
where would you like to see us?
Well, we've come a long way, and when you think about the world that we live in, and some of the challenges that we have in our community and society, is the lack of leadership, and men as a whole have fallen down.
Yeah.
So
we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, how do you change the world? And it's one life at a time. So if we can give these boys a hand up and guide them in leadership, and like I said, I've been blessed with mentors in my family and my church and my community, guys that show me how to do it. And it's not, I guess when we go back to faith, it's servant leadership. Like,
yeah, we teach
Jesus
that. Yeah.
came to this earth,
Serve,
and He came to
not to condemn.
Yep. And so we teach that model that you lead through service. And our boys are out in the community working and serving, volunteering, and they look forward to those days of when we can go help and serve the community. And that's a big part of it, is showing them how to do it.
Yeah.
And then these boys show their friends how to do it.
Yeah.
Friends show their friends how to do it. So I think, the sky's really the limit here. We've talked about a girls' leadership program.
Yep.
And we're getting closer to that.
I think so.
Every day.
Yep.
It definitely is going to take a lot of women to run that as well.
Yep.
As men, we can't
It's a whole different deal.
guide those girls.
Right.
And we need women to run that part of it. And I know there's a lot of ladies in the community that have already stepped up and are on the list to participate and help with that. but it takes a lot. I mean, it takes a lot to run our program now. It's going to take double amount.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I've talked to several women in this community that want to see this happen, want to get involved. I think we, for some of us, I personally think our kids are under attack from a lot of negative forces. Not only dealing with family issues, but social media and how that has negatively impacted their psyche. How they feel about themselves. And comparing themselves to other people or acting silly or stupid because they do some stupid stunt, because they want to get the clicks. Social media can be good. It can be good, but it also has a bad side to it. And that's one thing we talk to about the boys. They're young. I know. I'm not going to get into it, but I know they have access to a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
On the phone. And when they're not monitored, they're taking that stuff in.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that we really promote is integrity.
Yep.
And that's acting in good character even when nobody's watching.
Excellent.
And so that's one thing that we want these boys to really grab onto is doing the right thing always. And doesn't matter if you're by yourself or with your friends. If you're not if it's not going to be a popular decision, still sticking with it and doing the right thing.
Yeah, there's so much peer pressure for them. I mean, we went through it too. Sometimes we think it was different back then, but it may be different a little bit. But we all went through peer pressure. And I shared it with the last podcast with Derek Ramos, his assistant city manager. I try to express to the boys, always try to do the hard thing first. You do the hard, and I can't recall who said this, and I'm quoting them, and I need to get a name on. But this one podcaster said, and he's done very well, and he's a motivational guy, and he said, if people would just do the hard thing first, their life would be much easier. But we tend to slough off and want to be easy, life easy, and then as we get older, because we didn't take care of things on the front end, life starts getting a little tougher on the back end. And I try to instill that in the boys when I have an opportunity to speak to them, because it's like you can really, you got homework, get home, take a quick break, hit it, get it done.
Yeah.
Because then you can relax. But when you put it off and then 9 o'clock rolls around and then you're up doing it till 10, 11, 12, and then maybe you have a test.
Or you don't get it.
Yeah, you're not going to do as well. That's what that is. Just being prepared. And I've had to learn that too. If you're going to be in real estate or working with you have to be, for this podcast, you got to be prepared a little bit in order to have success. And we try to get these boys to learn, be prepared and organized. So
yeah, we can fill up our day with little things that don't matter and leave the big things out of it.
Yeah.
We can put God first or our family first. Then we start falling away from God and start falling away from our family.
It's real easy to go places meaning in a different ways that not going to be well for you or your family or yourself as an individual. But we're glad that you are part of Real Men, Real Leaders. You've been instrumental with the growth, and I know you want to see it, and hopefully you'll continue to be a leader on the board and so forth. And someday I tell people, we're not going to be there forever. I mean, at some point somebody's got to take the reins and keep it going. And what's great about our organization, we're a grassroots organization. We're not a national program. We started here in Garden, and we've been able to keep it going. And that's tough because for many grassroots organizations, they'll go at it for a while, but then they eventually fall away because people get tired, or it may not be working, or board members are just, hey, somebody else serves, and it's real easy to walk away, and then the program can fall or fail. But I don't think that's going to be in this case. I think this is a long game for us. And we get the girls going, and this. We've had other communities ask us to bring our program to them, and hopefully one of these days we can. But is there anything else you'd like to share or with us before we?
I have a lot of thoughts, but I know we're limited on time. So
No, go ahead.
with anything with anything of value, we have to be training up the next generation. And if you're in a job and you're the supervisor, or maybe not even the supervisor, just filling a position, you can't really move on unless you prepared someone else to take that position.
Yeah.
So that's
So
what
true.
we need to be doing with leadership, is training up the next set of leaders, the next generation of leaders. So when our time runs out, there's got to be someone else to pick it up,
Exactly.
keep it going.
And then encourage others behind them.
So with real men and real leaders, our alumni, we've been doing this for many years, and we have a lot of alumni, hundreds of boys, and there's some in the military, there's some at college. Jonas Cruz has been
it's been
instrumental in placing some of our
blessing.
boys
Yeah, absolutely.
in positions, in jobs, in career fields. It's nice that we have businesses reaching out to us and saying, hey, we have this position.
Good feeling.
Is there someone that you can recommend to us for this position? And we've been able to place some of those
Yeah.
boys, and recently we've had some of our boys donating back to Real Men, Real Leaders.
Yeah, they have.
So you're seeing that cycle of leadership, that they're giving back to the organization, and that shows a lot of value, that they appreciate what they've gone through and what they've learned from Real Men, Real Leaders, and they're willing to help the next generation. So it's been a blessing to see that, and I think that's going to continue to grow. It's going to be rewarding when we have one of those leaders come and join us on our board, or
Oh, absolutely. Or
take a leadership position.
They may run for city commission.
Yeah.
They may be bank president. And really, it doesn't matter as long as they're taking a leadership role in their family, in their community, or in school. That's what we try to stress to them.
Or wherever they land.
Yeah, wherever they land.
Wherever they land, as long as they're, having an impact in their community and their families, raising families, and, taking responsibility, leading with integrity, and doing the right things.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we sure appreciate you. I appreciate you, again, not only as a friend, but as a colleague in many ways, as Real Men, Real Leaders, and being part of that. And we still got a little bit to go, and we'll make it. And also want to send a gratitude or thanks to Diane and Croc, because they've been big supporters of ours. She's been a sweetheart, so has Brian. About supporting our organization. You guys hosted a program over there at the office, so we really appreciate that. And that's what these boys need to be exposed to. They need to be exposed to opportunities and people who are opening their doors to them. And I think that's big. The boys may not think, they're young, and of course, Diane, that office has such great food, or there's always something good to eat there or get to drink.
Definitely.
But the key is that opening the doors, and whether it's Diane or anybody, to these young boys and say, hey, we're here to help you.
Our community has definitely been an impact in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Support that we receive from Garden City and the community.
Oh, it's been tremendous.
Well, even outside of Garden City, we have
we have.
supporters coming in and helping us out. So we can't do it without that help, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It makes it all possible. And
Well, we certainly thank you, and we hope you'll join us again down the road. We, like I've tell the public out there, this podcast is about bringing people in leadership roles, but not only the people, but our students. You're going to see some stories from our students. We need to hear from them, because oftentimes we don't.
Yes.
We don't let our kids tell their stories. And as I've said before, if we would just share each other's stories, about family, about life, about aspirations, I think this world would be a whole lot better. But we have a tendency to stay in our corners, in our silos, and we need to get better at breaking out of that and experience other things and people and places and just opening up doors to these young people, knowing that you love them. I've often said, just because it's not my son or daughter doesn't mean I can't love them and help them. And I think it's huge. I think it's important that we do. That these kids see love beyond their families, because some of these families are dysfunctional. I'm going to be truthful; they're dysfunctional. But there's many of our boys come from great parents too.
Yeah.
Okay, we get our boys from all over. So we're glad to have you.
And it really takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah, I think so. African proverb, or somebody said that. I can't remember. I'm bad at that, but I need to start giving credit where credit's due.
Yeah.
I'll have to do a better job of that. But
Lucky
anyway,
enough to remember that phrase.
anyway, we're glad you tuned in. Like I say, we're going to have more podcasts in the future with some hopefully guests, not only locally but statewide. Who knows? Maybe we'll have somebody on a national level come in and sit with us and talk about their lives and their, what's going on, and maybe leave a few words of wisdom for folks out there who are tuning in. If your business or organization would like to come on the podcast, let us know. If you'd like to sponsor this podcast, we'd love for you to do that, because it does take time and money when you do these podcasts. There's a back end to it where we've got to edit this, and it takes time. Our Edgar Messa, our social media marketing guy, does that for us, but he doesn't do it for free. He can't do it for free. He's got to raise a family too. So we encourage you to get a hold of us if you'd like to participate in a podcast. And thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you in the future.